So we're going to go ahead and make those changes even faster than we anticipated. So that's happening very quickly. On another note, we finally got the approval from Yext, and Andrew should be sending out emails to everybody. Your account should be active. If not, expect an email from him later today on why it's not active, if there's a billing issue or something like that. And if you are still not seeing it active in your account, send us an email at support@gohighlevel.com, and we'll be able to figure out what's going on and get those accounts active for you. And for those of you that don't know, we have a special offer to you guys to add listing services to any of your small businesses. Originally, it was $50, and we actually were able to renegotiate it down to $30 an account. So if that's something that you're interested in, just shoot us an email at support@gohighlevel.com, and we'll be able to help you out on that front. Some other things that I mentioned throughout the week, we are really close to completing our HIPAA compliancy process. We're tentatively going to launch it February 1st, if not sooner. We're working through last pieces of completion from our team and some final paperwork. At that point, it will be $297 a month to enable HIPAA compliant, or the HIPAA enabled services on your account. And it's going to go to all of your accounts at that point. And from there, we'll also be able to sign a BAA with you as the agency. We recommend that you as an agency are also HIPAA compliant and you follow the processes, because you will need to sign a BAA with your medical practices that you're dealing with on the medical front. I think those are kind of the major things that I wanted to cover. Oh, call tracking, we released the beta. There's some of you guys that are in there and testing that out. We are also going to roll out Smart List. We were actually going to open the beta up this week, but we decided that we're going to push it out next week once we get over the speed stuff, kind of situated. So expect seeing that next week. And I also want to talk about, getting the ability to get on betas and stuff like that. So we don't have a formal process on how we bring people into beta. What we really do is we reach out to agencies that we know use the product and willing to help us. And we start out there, and we start with about, 3, maybe 5 agencies to give us feedback and helps scope out what it would look like. Once we feel like it's in a good position is when we start opening it up. And usually the first level is we'll do a Facebook post in the group saying, hey, if you use this, reach out to us. Last time Sean did it for call tracking, and he reached out. We brought those individuals in. We did a couple of tests. They said, hey, it's really good. And then we did a public beta. And that's really where we're at with call tracking. And we're going to formalize this so that more people can become more involved in these beta products and services in the next couple of weeks as well. I guess with that, I don't really have much more to really go over. And so it's open forum. If you guys have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself, and we'll just kind of go from there.
Hey, Brad and Melissa.
Hey, Melissa.
Hey, I got a question yesterday from somebody that said she had an expert look at her landing page and said, because we're not GDPR compliant, Google is not going to index us. Do you know anything about that?
I have not heard that. I mean, GDPR is really for EU-based.
Right. Google, supposedly Google says now you have to have the cookie thing, that says we use cookies and all that, all those permissions that pop up on a website. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I mean, I imagine we can figure out a way to do that on our own, but.
Yeah, I mean, definitely send us the information on that, and we can look at it and see if that's something that we need to help build so it's more standardized, or if you have to build it one-off. But I have not heard that personally. If that. And that
was the question: is she like off center because Google is indexing our pages? Does anybody, if anybody knows that, then I'm not going to make up.
I mean, I know that Google is indexing landing pages that I've seen, but if there's got to be written documentation on it, and if that written documentation exists, I mean, that's where we would start with.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Robin, this is Kelly.
Hey, Kelly, how's it going?
Good. I wanted to see what the ETA was for like the email open rates and click-through rates and stuff, inside of HighLevel.
Yeah, so the plan was to launch it in January. Right now, we're not planning on releasing that just yet in January. If it is, it's going to be kind of the last week of January, but most likely it's going to be mid-February at this point, just with all the other stuff that we're prioritizing.
Okay.
So, hey, Robin, it's Joe. So actually kind of drafting off of Kelly there for a second. So, you know, if we were to look at like an 80-20 rule, I would imagine 80% of every single user in here needs open rates, click rates, all of those kind of things, probably over the top of the deal with Yext, you know, call tracking. Like I would assume that every single person in here uses text messaging, email, campaigns, things like that, probably 80% more than two features that just got released. And we've kind of been beating the horse on reporting like since last February. You know what I mean? So I'm curious, like, is it basically like, do we politician in here and try to get a popular vote to move things ahead of kind of necessity? Because
No,
I can't imagine anybody in here is like, well, reporting would suck. Right.
No, so just to kind of add on to that. So like with Yext, that's a service that we've always had and enabled. All that we've done is renegotiated it and offered it out to everyone else. With HIPAA, that's with a separate team. And like we have a Prova on the team where she's more admin based and she's handling kind of that components of it. We have different teams rolling out different products. Now, what happens is the development team builds it and then it's waiting in QA for us to test it out internally to make sure that it's good. And once it's in QA, you know, it looks like it's good. And then once, you know, Varun and Nikunj and the team reviews it and says it's, you know, there's bugs or we need to fix this or it doesn't make sense, it goes back to the QA team. And so it's not necessarily that we're prioritizing stuff, you know, one way or the other. It's a team is working on it. And, you know, as teams finish it out, we release it to the public. So it's not like we've shelved it and we're only working on one thing at a time. There's multiple teams that's building it out. And some things take, you know, just require more complexity than others.
So what is the delay? Because I mean, you know, reporting, we're working on a year that we've been asking about it, that it's been, yeah, this is something we're working on. It's going to get done. You know, I mean, we discussed this, the day I signed up at Rob's event. This was discussed, like what kind of tracking, all that stuff. And yeah, it's on the forefront. It's something we're working on. So what is it that either causes a delay in like this one being done or like, I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out because yeah, it's been, I feel like every month we're getting close. It's happening. That's something super important because like we can't provide anything to clients. Like we basically run blind agencies at this point, unless we all dig into Mailgun, dig into Twilio. And I mean, that's a pain in the ass itself. So I'm just curious.
Sure. Yeah. With reporting and stuff, there's a lot more than just blanket reporting. We've done small things like you can now see how many calls have come in, where lead sources are coming from and stuff. Now, packaging it up and being able to pull from different locations and pull into accurate numbers and stuff like that. There's a lot of technicals that just go into it. And then if it's pulling in accurately, then when we talk about within the app itself of what stage people are in, what percentage responds and stuff, we just start uncovering layers and layers of complexity and building it out. And, development builds it out, we test it. And if it doesn't true up or match up, that's going to be just as a problem as it being delayed. And so we'd rather the product, try to come out a little bit better than just rolling it out immediately.
Okay. So obviously speed's a big thing. You kind of touched on that. So one other feature that I thought was interesting that hasn't come live yet that you guys demoed like a year ago was the flow builder.
Mm-hmm. So we actually had to push that out just a little bit due to the reporting and the way that we connect up different aspects of it. So we have to be able to, that one is actually an interesting one because we have to be able to manage multiple campaigns in that flow builder. We're also working on the messenger bot system to do surveys and the form builders to be able to all flow into one and build those triggers out. Plus from a database perspective, we have to figure out what's going to provide that speed consistency so that when you make changes on the funnel or on that flow builder, it's going to match up everywhere else. So it's 85% done. It's just, we can't put a bow on it and release it until we have all these other things completed.
Okay. So I'll leave with this and then I'll shut up. Do we have an actual, like, our speed's going to be fixed and you guys don't have to complain anymore? Do we have a date on that? So like
our tentative date right now is early next week. By Wednesday, we should have subsided a good portion of conversations, contacts, opportunities, and then we're just making further improvements in all the other areas like triggers and campaign retrievals and stuff like that.
Okay, and then the last piece is the reporting, an actual date that we can say, cool, we can track reporting now. We can do open rates, we can do click rates, like all that. Do we have a date on that?
Yeah, so the first step is call tracking, because that brings in the call stats, and then from there we're taking that data to roll into the actual stats. Right now, based on our pipeline that I have, it's February.
February for like everything else other than call tracking.
It's going to be staged, so we'll probably do email tracking first, and then we'll do SMS, deliverability, and we'll just continue adding on to it from there.
Okay.
One of the other big plans that we have is to doing success reports. So every week we want to be able to send a report to all of your clients or all of your locations saying, here's the activity that's happened. Here's how many leads have come in. Here's how many that have gone through campaigns. Here's our lead sources. And we want to be able to pull from all those reports. And then on top of that, we want to create a dashboard for the agencies so you can see kind of everything at a glance and what's going on between all of your sub accounts as well. So that's all in the plans. That's going to be further down the road in what I just mentioned. But the first stage is call tracking, then email stats, and then we just start adding on and layering from there.
Did call tracking really beat out email stats?
They are two different teams, but call tracking just got built out faster.
Got it.
Robin, do you want to go over the validation?
Yeah. So one of the other things, when we talk about open rates and different things that we're working on that front, we actually enabled a feature that we'll be putting out a video pretty soon on. It's with the email validation. A lot of people are importing huge lists in, and when you talk about bad deliverability and stuff, it's how quality are these emails. And so we are enabling it by default so that when you send an email out or import an email into the platform, whether it's coming in from leads, from a CSV or whatever, it's going to check against Mailgun's email validation platform. Once it confirms it, then it's going to send it out. If it's not validated, it won't send it out. So it will improve your deliverability rates. And then on top of that, we're going to create a database so that if that email happens to be in the database, it doesn't have to check against Mailgun at the same time. So that's coming out, within the next week or so, just to help with the deliverability side of things.
Hi, Robin. Are you able to hear me?
Hey, Shireen.
Yeah, this is Shireen here, and I have a question regarding Snapshot. Actually, what the exact thing is, we are trying to update the Snapshot, but few of our users' accounts haven't been loaded with the Snapshot. And in our previous conversation with the team of HighLevel, I found something like if I load the Snapshot to the current account, the account will start again fresh. But the problem is, if the account start fresh, then all the follow-up, all the campaign which had been there, like calls or messaging, whatever sent to the leads, are again going to be the fresh. And I'm not sure that we are going to miss the contacts also. I'm not sure about that. So what will happen to those accounts which are not loaded with the Snapshot, and how can we update the stuff there?
So what I would recommend doing is, instead of doing a full snapshot, is just copying over the campaigns that you just need. So it's a little bit more selective on what you're migrating over, so that you're not overriding data or making any changes that could potentially affect what you have going on.
Actually, we have here 100 accounts in our CRM. And in that we can manually do something, but actually I'm unaware of what's the changes had happened, because I work for my client and I'm a virtual assistant, and I used to set accounts for his clients. And I'm unaware of the changes because there are few things changed, like custom fields and some email stuff and campaigns, triggers, everything got updated out there. And if I sit by doing it manually, it's going to cost me around 60 hours to update everything, to check everything, because I'm unaware exactly what had been updated. So I want to decrease the time gap and do something simple. Like in the previous call, I had heard one of our HighLevel teams saying that if I click that update thing in the snapshot, all the accounts loaded with snapshot will get updated with the current settings. And I'm assuming that setting is available right now, because it was not available then. I hope it's available right now. But if I do that, only 50 accounts are getting updated, and another 20 to 30 accounts are being the same at the same stage. And I'm unaware of what the changes exactly happened in the new snapshot. So how can I do this? What is the best thing I can do according to you?
I don't have an answer. I have to kind of look at what exactly you're doing. It might make sense for you to book a call with one of our support team members, and we could, sit down and really look at what you're trying to accomplish and see if there's a better, more efficient way to do it. Because it sounds like you're trying to do mass changes at once.
Actually, I'm trying to load the snapshot. Like I'm trying to update the changes. Like recently we had few updates in our snapshot. So what I want is I want to reflect those changes in the current account.
Yeah,
And
so
what's the problem is few accounts are loaded with the snapshot. So I think clicking on update, few accounts will get updated, but other accounts which are not loaded with the snapshot are not going to get updated.
Hey, Sheree,
Right.
when we're done this call, I'll jump on a call with you, okay? We'll do a one-on-one. I'll send you a link and I'll walk you through this.
Actually, when it's going to happen, because it's quite late here and it's around 2 a.m. right here, I think.
I'll send you a link now. We'll do it now, okay? I'm gonna send you a Zoom link on our Facebook chat message, okay?
Okay, sure. Right now?
Yeah, I'll send it to you right now.
Okay, fine. Thank you. I'll catch you there.
Cool. Are there any other questions? Let's see.
Robin, I've got a real easy one.
Sure. I don't know who's talking, but
This is Graham.
Hey, Graham.
Hey, can we get a forward button to move forward through the contacts when you're on a contacts profile page, instead of having to press back and then have the contacts all load again and then pick the next contact in the list?
Ooh, that would be nice.
Yeah, let me write that down and see what it would take.
Yeah, that's a pretty, standard CRM feature. Like I think every
So
CRM
you're
I've
talking
used
about
has
when
had
you're
that.
when you're at a specific, you're looking at a contact itself. You want to go back and forth between the contact.
Yeah, like if you open up contacts, then click a specific contact, a lead. You're looking at that contact's profile page. To move to the next contact in the list, it'd be nice if there was a forward button instead of having to press the back button to go back to the list of contacts.
Yeah, and so I actually do know that with the smart list, we're actually going to replace our whole contact section with the new smart list capability so that you can create list on the fly. And so I can actually ask the team who's working on that to make sure it's included on that deployment.
That would be super awesome. Thank you.
Cool.
Hey, this is Valerie. Can you
I
guys
also
hear
have a
me?
question.
Hey, Valerie.
Hey, I know that not everybody's interested in the Yext thing, and I'm not a big Yext fan. But anyway, it does show up in my dashboard for my business because we signed up back when you guys had that form sent out. And it looks great. And I was wondering, is there, there's got to be a way for us to describe this, like how, what people should expect from having this feature. So is there a feature list somewhere? Because I haven't seen it, unless I want to copy it off of Yext or.
Yeah, actually, Chase, you have something that you've created, some information behind the listing services. Can you?
Yeah, I can give you a brief overview from what I know right now. It's the Yext Pro plan.
Okay.
So if you look up the documentation for that, and we have it in, if you go to help.gohighlevel.com,
Okay.
and search Yext. Some of the stuff I created, I have to redo, so it might not be up there because of some policy things that Yext came back with. But essentially, when you create an account, it creates all the citations based on the information that you give our team. And then any changes that you want to make, you just have to open a ticket with HighLevel and we'll make them on your behalf.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Hey, I have a question, Robin. Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm doing well. So I'm new to GHL, and tomorrow I'm pitching a SaaS B2B company that just raised $4 million, and I'm pitching GHL. So their big question is how it integrates with Salesforce Data Center. Can I only integrate it when a new lead comes in, or can I also like update Salesforce from GHL when an appointment is booked or a conversation is started? I don't know how relevant this is to everybody else, but this is something that like is really relevant for my meeting tomorrow.
What you'll need to do is use the webhook feature.
Okay.
So between any campaign step or even as triggers, you have the ability to use webhooks. And webhooks, you'll be able to pass data across when changes happen, and it includes all the contact details a part of that webhook. You could push that into Salesforce and then manipulate it in Salesforce wherever you need.
Technically both ways. So from GHL to Salesforce, so like after the initial lead comes in, Salesforce is updated, and then if an appointment is booked, I can also use a webhook to update Salesforce that the demo is booked?
Yes.
Wow. Okay, very cool.
Yeah, so it's the ability of using webhooks that's going to be what you're going to be leveraging.
So that's it. It's just figuring out the webhook, and everything else is goes from there.
Yep.
Oh, that's the answer I wanted to hear. Okay, very good.
Cool.
I appreciate that.
Hey guys, I need to make sure I just heard you correctly. I also have a Salesforce client. I pitched them already. They have 3 companies, and I only know of 97 locations for one of those 3. Are you saying that if we book an appointment at, one location, Shawnee, Oklahoma, the information from Shawnee or any location can be passed via webhook back to corporate?
Yes, because we're looking at it at a campaign, or I'm sorry, at a contact level who goes through whatever your triggers are within that sub account. And so you just be able to take that whenever a contact gets processed, whether they're a part of a campaign step or as a trigger, you'll be able to pass that to the webhook, and the webhook sends it off to wherever it needs to go, whether it's Zapier or to Salesforce in your case.
Cool, thank you, sir.
Where can I get the recording of this this Q&A, by the way? I see that it's recording.
Yeah, so it is live in Facebook, and after this call, it gets saved there. And then I believe Chase also posted them up in our help.
Yeah, I post them on our YouTube channel, but Robin, we didn't start recording. I didn't realize it wasn't auto recording until you just finished all the updates about speed. Could you give a quick recap of what you said?
It's going to be fixed, guys.
Early next week.
Yeah, so the idea of what's going on is we are seeing just a huge hit that happens at the top of every hour. We are on a Google infrastructure as well as AWS. The main databases reside on Google Cloud, and it's supposed to auto scale. It's not about buying servers or whatever the perceptional ideas are. It's you hand the data over to Google and Google manages it. We've found a bug in their database, and we're working with Google's team to resolve the issue. It's taking a little bit longer. We ran through the holidays and stuff like that, and just the availability on their team. So in the meantime, while they're trying to solve that, we're moving some of the databases over to AWS using Redis, which is one of the fastest database platforms out there. You'll start seeing some of those changes today. If not, it'll be tomorrow morning where you'll start seeing it in messages. That's the first one that we're tackling. We actually have been testing. A lot of the team knows, like, we have this little thing that you can clock what pages get loaded and how long it's taking. So we actually found that, it's messages, contacts, and opportunities. And so that's kind of the order that we're going in. And then from there, we're backfilling all the other areas and, doing enhancements, updates, caching, and adding more loading screens. So the first one is going to be conversations. Immediately after that, Thursday going into Friday, you'll start seeing contacts. And then early next week, we should be completed with opportunities. And then from there, it'll be like triggers, campaigns, and kind of all the other screens from there. Did I answer that? Did I miss anything?
Awesome to hear that. I got a quick question, or might not be super quick.
Sure.
So I've set up Google Tag Manager. So I'm running a 3-step funnel, and I'm into a survey. So the first step is a survey, or the first step is a landing page with a button. Button opens up the survey, and I've got like 8 or 9 questions on the survey. Is there any way to track, like, at which step of the survey leads are falling off at?
Not right now, no. Right now, what most people look for is the exit of a survey, not necessarily the abandoned survey.
Yep.
The way that you're trying to get a little bit more granular. Most people look at it as if someone enters the survey but doesn't complete the survey.
Yep.
Right.
So
You're trying to go
because I set up an initiate. So I'm using Google Tag Manager. I set up like an initiate checkout. So if they see the pop-up with the survey on it, they're tagged as initiate checkout. And I was thinking a workaround maybe if I could have, and I know it's possible, but like a custom CSS element on each survey step.
Yeah. Another option could be, just thinking outside of the box, is every step is a new question. So after they complete step 1, they complete that question or that form or survey. And the next step is to go to survey 2, which is question 2, if they complete that. And then you'll be able to track it at a per step. It's a little bit, a little bit of a step.
Yeah, I don't think I want to do that. I don't want it that bad, I don't think.
Yeah.
But
so that'd be kind of just
is there a way to essentially place an element on each survey page that would be a different CSS selector? Because I can pick that up as a trigger within Google Tag Manager.
Yeah, I believe you can add HTML to each of the survey pages.
Okay, so I just need to figure out how to do that.
Yeah.
Because if I could do some sort of a view content or something on a specific element that's on each page, then I could see it.
So I'm just writing this down.
Hey guys, I have a question.
Sure. Hey, Christine.
Hey. I am in the call tracker beta, and I actually spoke with a medical spa today, and they specifically want the call rail replacement functionality. Do you guys have like an ETA on when you guys are going to come out with that? And also, they were really, really interested in the tracking, like as far as the effectiveness of marketing campaigns and putting the keywords in there and all that kind of stuff that CallRail has.
Yeah, so we don't have a true ETA just yet on when we're going live with it. The whole idea of the beta is for you guys to give feedback on, and when we'll basically do what we did with the funnel builder, we're basically going to have a live call with everyone who was a part of the beta to say, hey, what do you guys think? Should we go public with it? And we'll look at kind of the comments, and if we feel like these are minor issues that we can continue building on, like they're not life or death scenario problems, then we'll push it forward. So I don't have a true date right now. What I ask is that, you're part of the call tracking. If that client is, interested in being a part of it, test it out on them and let's see what the problems are and let's see how public or ready it is.
Okay, cool. And can you talk a little bit more about the tracking capabilities with the keywords and all that?
Yeah, so I'm not the best skilled with call tracking. Chase, do you want to talk about that? Because I think that's something you're more.
Yeah, so it's built just to do just the same that CallRail does, I believe. So if you create a number pool and you're using that pool, as the calls come in, it'll show you the keyword that was associated with the call. It's the one feature that I haven't seen in live yet. So I have 2 people in the beta that are going to report back to me as soon as their live campaign starts showing the keywords reporting through. And I'm about to launch a live test myself. So as soon as we see that happening and know that it's working correctly, we'll be one step closer to coming out of beta.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Cool. And I did forget to mention one big thing. So huge shout out to Abby and Ian. They've been working really hard on updating our help desk system. And so what does that mean for you guys as our HighLevel users? Within our platform, by the end of the week, you'll see a new question where the question bubble is. You'll see a new one where you'll be able to live chat with us. And we're going to be able to track tickets a little bit better, having all of our support team there. Right now, just so that you guys are aware, we're having a bit of a challenge keeping up with everyone. One is we have a lot of people on Facebook who are posting stuff, but as you guys know, when you're on Facebook, it's never organized. You don't know what the latest or greatest is. You might see it one day and it disappears the next. And then on Slack, right, there's a lot of people who are PMing directly versus some people who are in the HighLevelers chat. And then we get people who email, people who call and all that. So we're trying to centralize it so that we can be more efficient in how we help you guys and give you guys the time that you guys deserve. So through that process over the next couple of weeks, we'll be talking about some of the changes that we're going to make. But kind of the first thing that you guys will see is when you guys email us, it might look a little bit different from a ticketing perspective, and you'll be able to chat with us directly in the platform. And our help section will look a lot different as well. We've actually revised a lot of our help articles, and we've created a ton more, and we're going to continue adding more. So I know right now in the platform, the help section looks kind of wonky, but by the end of the week, we'll have that changed over with the new one.
Yeah, and if when you're going through the help docs, if you find a video that's outdated or something's no longer relevant, feel free to ping me in Slack and let me know, and I'll redo it.
Yeah, and the cool thing about our new platform is that you can actually put comments on the support tickets to say, hey, it's not relevant anymore, it's out of date, Mailgun changed their interface, or Twilio looks different, or whatever. It's just a better way for us to be more engaged and make those changes a lot sooner.
Robin, can I jump in again real quick? It's Graham.
Sure.
So I was having Facebook lead ads, the integration come in, and I was one of the people that just recently noticed that I double checked, I had 48 leads that didn't get pulled in because it got disconnected. So is the solution to that to just zap them in?
No, so we haven't been able to track down any consistency on that problem. And so if you have not reconnected it and you're still facing that problem, can I connect with you after this call? Because we're trying to find some consistency. What we found, talking to about 20 to 30 people who have said they have had this issue, it's always been that they have virtual assistants logging into their account. The account holder has changed their password, or something along those lines, like they changed their phone number or something like that, and it drops your whole API connection. And the same thing happens on Google as well. I'm not saying that's what happened to you. What I'm trying to figure out is if there's something serious that's going on, whether it's an API rate limitation, something that's blocking the leads and it's dropping the connection. That's what we're trying to find. And everyone that we've spoken to, it's always come down to more of a security issue where it dropped the API.
Yeah, and that makes sense. And I'll just speak to that really quick. And then I have 2 more really easy questions, I think. What I noticed is, and I'm wondering if the other people that had this issue had the same problem. Once I got HighLevel and then started using Facebook lead ads and I set up the integration, Facebook started asking me to change my password. I'd go to use Facebook, and that has literally, I've had Facebook basically since the beginning, and Facebook has never asked me to change my password. Once I got HighLevel and set up that integration, I literally had it ask me to change my password like 3 times in one day.
Yeah, and what's going on is at a sub-account level, you're doing a new connection back to Facebook.
Yeah.
Right? And so Facebook is seeing it as in a traditional application, and even for your customers, like one way to look at it is your customer is supposed to connect to their Facebook page using their credentials. But when it's the same agency account holder connecting up the page over and over again, that's why Facebook is kind of like, this doesn't seem right. Someone might be taking advantage of it, so let's reset the password. When you reset the password, it kills the API connection and it wants you to reestablish that sync again. It's the same thing with Google. If you guys are Google users, every once in a while it just randomly asks you to log back in again. and it's sitting at a login screen, so you can't access it. It's that same concept, but Facebook's way is reset your password and it reestablishes forces you to reconnect all the API connections. So
Yeah.
if you're running into that and it's not that, let me know, because that's where we've been finding the issue so far, but we're trying to figure out if there's something bigger going on.
We have
Okay.
some experience with this. I just want to throw this out there. We are a big agency, 200 clients, and I have probably 2 to 3 other people who can potentially log in as me or as our agency. And this is absolutely this is the problem. What you're describing is exactly the problem. We have gone.
But I don't have that though. I'm not having anyone else log in as me or anything like that.
Yeah, well, I just as a explainer, we have gone through, and so right now, primarily, I am the only person who can get access to these, to our Facebook pages and do the ads. We have one other person besides me in the same geographic area, but I am the only person who is admin except for our whatever business portal. But we went through hell with this. And I think the challenge is mainly, whether it's just you by yourself or if it's you and a team, is that Facebook is really on the smackdown for safety and security after all they've been through. And I mean, I can't tell you, I had to go get stuff notarized and prove who I was in order for Facebook to give us back control of some of our Facebook business pages. So even if you have a profile that's not really you, but you kind of just use it for business, that's another thing that's going to get you kicked out and freak out Facebook. I mean, I had one for 10 years that wasn't me. That was like our business would log into it. It was my profile, my picture, but we would use that to manage our clients instead of my personal Facebook. And that is completely wiped out now. So, and we weren't doing anything wrong. It was just easier to let them log into that profile than to log into my personal Facebook.
Yeah,
so we've had to rearrange what we're doing a lot.
Yeah, and what we've done on our agency side is we've created virtual machines. So anyone who's remote, or if our office is based in Dallas, and if you're in Alabama or Oklahoma or whatever, Facebook will alert saying someone's trying to log in with a different IP. And if you have international, VAs or whatever, add another layer of, security issues to that. So what we've done is basically we have virtual machines that our team can remote into just so that the IP is consistent. And it just makes it a lot easier on that front. Nonetheless, I'm not trying to deflect on the problem. What I'm trying to figure out is what is the core of the problem.
Okay, so I don't need to get Zapier to solve that issue. It won't solve it.
Zapier is just another way of inputting it. You run into other issues with Zapier, which is the delays and stuff like that. But what we're seeing and what we've seen in the past is more or less of the password scenario, the security issue.
Yeah. Okay. And just like my no one else is logging in. I don't have VAs, nothing like that. I did change locations.
It's not necessarily that. Like, if you did change locations, that could be it. But it's the fact of you're creating a new API connection over and over and over again. Every time you create a new account, that's what's triggering Facebook to do that password change or whatever.
What do you mean create a new account?
Every time that you create a new sub account and you link up Facebook.
I only did that once though. I only have one client that's doing that.
I mean, that's typically what triggers it. So I don't know what else, it's creating Facebook to alert you saying, hey, you need to reset your password.
Okay, fair enough.
Zapier, I have a little experience on this too. So it happened to me when I traveled to Detroit, which is just a different area. And Facebook just asked me to click the button to re-log in. I didn't change passwords or anything, but it did kick me out. It does kick Zapier out too, but it notifies that it knows that the task failed. So.
That is something that we are implementing. I want to say by the end of this week, but give us till next week, where we will have basically the ability to notify you when that connection drops.
And that would be the main benefit. I mean, I heard some other chatter in the Facebook group about that happening, and then I looked at it, and what actually happened was when I looked at integrations, it was still connected, but my forms had for some reason disappeared, and that's why they weren't getting pulled in. So what the problem was, and maybe just like a coaching tip on your guys' side, I saw in the Facebook group that Robin actually had mentioned that, that was the issue and there was some problems. And I was like, okay, cool. And I just went to integrations and I checked and it said it was still connected. So to me, and I'm relatively new to all this, I thought it was good. And I was looking on the app and looking at the leads we were getting every day. And it seemed, I thought it was good. But then,
part of it is when it was built out, it was more of a last status shows that it's connected. It's not constantly checking and confirming that connection still active. Like we don't have heartbeat on there. And that just, unfortunately, like we didn't experience that issue. So now we're going to have to go back in and build that enhancement. And then we're also building in the email notification. I spoke to some of the team earlier this week and we're trying to push that out later this week, early next week, just with all the other stuff. We're trying to roll it out as quick as possible.
Okay. And just, I don't want to take up too much time on this. Last thing with that though, is that I on Facebook started using two-factor authentication. And since then it hasn't happened. So maybe that might be a benefit to anyone else that wants to try to solve this issue. For me, it hasn't happened.
Yeah. So one of the challenges if you have a remote team, two-factor authentication causes a lot of problems managing that.
Fair enough. I don't have that yet. Hopefully I'll have that problem soon. And then just other really quick, some of my clients have been asking, just because I do white label HighLevel, but I don't totally try to hide it or anything. What is HighLevel built on though? I just, some people have been asking me and I have no idea.
Yeah, it's built on, from front end, it's built on Vue.js. Back end, we are using Google Cloud, Firestore, Data Store, AWS, for S3 buckets. We're moving to Redis for some of the databases there. I think we have a couple of other things out there. Like we look at HighLevel as having multiple apps within it, and so there's a lot of different components into it.
Okay, and last question, Validito. Have you heard of that software, Validito, that validates phone numbers?
I have not, but the concept has come up a few times.
Yeah, so basically it looks legit, it looks really cool, but in order to make it validate phone numbers in real time on forms and in surveys, you have to insert their little snippet. Can I do that?
I don't see why not.
Like in the CSS.
If you're not able to get it to work, what I'd recommend is maybe scheduling a time with one of our support team and they can help you look at it and see if it's possible or not.
Okay, thank you.
How do you spell it? Can you drop the name of it in chat so I can see if they have a zap, and just out of curiosity?
Yeah, it's real-time phone number validation. It looks pretty sweet.
API only.
Okay. Sorry, I wanted to add on the Facebook authentication thing too, and I don't know if anyone's mentioned this, but I have a VPN on my computer and I forgot to turn it off. And so it logged me in from like Michigan or something. And then like Facebook started freaking out.
Got it. Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, what we've been seeing when we're talking to people with Facebook and running into these problems, it's that security issue has been the consistent theme, but we are still trying to find somebody who's experiencing something beyond that. And if there's a bigger issue, we want to solve it. So if you are experiencing that, please reach out to us so that we can get on a call before you reconnect things to see where the problems are lying at.
Hey, Robin, this is Robert.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Going back really way back to the beginning, in terms of HIPAA compliance, what should we expect out of that? Is that something that runs purely on the back end? We basically pay for it, we get it monthly, and we can say we're HIPAA compliant. Like, what are some of the features that you guys have implemented to become HIPAA compliant? And then is that something that we need to worry about, like adding on to every account as we set accounts up? Is there any extra work that goes along with that?
So from a technical perspective, well, just give you a little highlight. Going through the process, we've had to do a lot of paperwork. We had to create a lot of SOPs and operational plans and stuff like that. From a technical perspective, and I forgot to mention, we did a lot of training, and we actually have to finish up a lot of training. Any of the HighLevel team members who are on the call, you need to finish your HIPAA training. So just putting that bug out there. So we have to be very sensitive in those accounts that can access to it. If you've been working with support, we have the ability to access your accounts. When you become HIPAA enabled, we actually are going to have to access it a separate way. And that requires that we're adding in more encryption to those accounts. We're having to add in more logging so that when a scenario comes up, that you'll be able to retrieve that information, just so that that's part of the requirements of being HIPAA compliant. So there's a lot of formality and technicality issues that we're working through. We're also having to create, some updates to the mobile app as well as to the desktop app as far as logging out, password complexity, those sort of things that you'll start seeing over the next couple of months as well. So we do have a plan of action that we're working towards. Now, from you as an agency, it will just be a monthly one-time fee that we're gonna, ask you to cover. You can charge whatever you want to your customer at that point, just like anything else. Now, to be compliant, remember, it's a chain of custody that's really important, which is your client signs a BAA with you, as well as with all their data providers. And so if you are providing it as a white label solution, you need to make sure that you have your BAA signed with us, and you need to have a BAA with the client, or the client needs to sign a BAA directly with us as well.
Okay. Cool. Thank you. And then
what's a BAA?
Business Associates Agreement. It's basically saying that the data that you touch, what are the restrictions and who's liable for what.
Cool. Thank you, Robin.
I have another question on the mobile. This is Adam.
Hey, Adam.
Hey, so these are a couple like feature updates. One of those is like when you're on a phone call from a mobile phone, you're not able to see any of the contact details or get into the rest of the app. So I think that's a feature change, but is that something that's known about or being worked on?
I have not personally heard about that scenario, but I'm also not deep with the mobile team. Can you possibly, what really helps us, just so you guys know, is leveraging Loom or videos or whatever. It just gives us, because as people tell us stuff, like it's interpreted differently when you're talking to a technical person. So if you just show us what you're trying to see or what should happen, that information is easier to pass on and translate down to the team, because now they visually see what you're trying to explain. So if you could create a recording of your phone or try to simulate it, or just a proper description, we can get it to the team and they can look at it and see if it's something in their pipeline, what we could do to enhance it, make it better, whatever it might be.
Send it to you or send it as a new feature request?
Send it to support at Go HighLevel, and the team there, they route it to the right team, and the team decides if it's an enhancement, bug, feature update, whatever it might be.
Okay. Second question along that lines, are we going to get notes features for contacts on the mobile?
I know that's in the pipeline. I don't have an answer on when it's going to be, but I do know that it's coming up.
Yeah, I just have a lot of clients that are, primarily out mobile doing that, and like for them to be able to make phone calls, they just want to be able to see the contact and write in notes, right from the phone.
Yep, fair enough. Like I said, I know it's in the pipeline. I don't have a date right off the top, right in front of me, but what you can do, just go ahead and send an email in and we could reply back to that ticket.
Sounds good. Thanks, Robin.
Cool, thank you.
Hey, Robin.
Hey, Brian.
Hey, man. Couple quick questions. First one, speed related. There's a lot. I'm dealing with a lot of people asking me about that today, and the issues seem to be like something should be triggering something, but the triggers aren't firing, or the calendar isn't showing up in this, so they think their calendar is gone, and then they realize 3 minutes later it popped in. So then what you're saying is, well, we're doing these things early next week. You should start seeing the conversations speed up, and then the next thing speed up. But how do the things that I just mentioned correlate to those things, and when they will also be fixed?
So this is transactional, right? So this is where we get a little on the techie side. What's happening is at the top of every hour, we have 500 people who are pushing maybe 10,000 accounts, all doing requests at the top of an hour. All of a sudden, there's 50 million queues that come up and hit a wall, right? So Google is supposed to be able to scale up to do it, but we're finding a bug that it's not scaling up fast enough. So all these queues are sitting in a wait period, and then finally it pushes through. So that's where you guys are seeing the, kind of the waviness on the lagging. So what we're doing is, as we're pulling out a lot of the transactions, that wall that's hitting will slowly start minimizing. So first and we've done a lot of testing over the past couple of weeks on where the traffic is really being hit. So first is conversations. That's where we're seeing a lot of activity happen. Let's move that over. Then let's move the other ones. And over time, the transactions that's hitting that wall is going to be less. So it's going to perform a lot faster in that regard.
Okay. So that's good. And you're saying we should start seeing maybe some things today, tomorrow, but really next week. So because I have to go respond to these things too. So I want to be able to say, hey, give us a week, developers are working on this, kind of give them some explanation, but you think that's a good time to give them?
Yeah. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but, I've been talking, we talk all the time, Sean and I, he's traveling, he's on vacation, well-needed vacation. He's been really nervous about kind of this migration. We've been trying to push it off and doing the migration, hoping that Google would come in and do what Google should do. And it's not happening. So, the team has been up since yesterday, nonstop, slowly doing tests in our staging environment. And we got the green light that it's looking good. So they're making that migration today. And it's just a lot of data that we're moving over, terabytes and terabytes of data that we have to sync up and match and stuff like that, so that messages will start working quickly. So that's kind of the first thing that we're doing there.
So it is in the works, and me going back to them and saying, hey, give it like a week, next week, early, like that's a good time frame.
Yes.
For expectation. Okay, great. Awesome. Thank you. Second question, folders organization, campaigns, triggers, man, mile-long list. I've talked, some of them aren't even alphabetical in some places, but I'll mention it to Varun and he'll push it out in the next update, which is amazing, the responsiveness. But overall, man, some organization or folders would be dope. What are we looking at as far as that goes?
Yeah, I mean, I know that it's on the list. It's a lot of these where we struggle with are the prioritization on the minor changes and updates. Because we have a separate team, like we call them the small issues team, and they're just working through it. Whatever they can tackle and quickly deploy is what, like if it's something, like a lot of the times I've been on a couple of calls with you, Brian, and it's like a 5-minute change. Development because we have to send it over to QA has to test it.
Yes.
Once they test it and certify it, then it goes live. But some of the bigger stuff, like with organizations and stuff like that, creating folders and stuff, that's actually a big development process.
Yes.
Because you guys have to remember, like when we make that change, we have to make it available in snapshots. When we do it in snapshots, we also have to make sure that when you do the cloning of snapshots, is it working? So that's a big development process. So it's not as simple as, just turn on folders and you're good. It's not like
yeah, of course. I know there's not that folder button that you can't switch and you're just like holding off on it, but.
And it's not that we're holding off on it. It's, you have a developer who's kind of working on it, and then, hey, we have a small thing, takes 5 minutes and they get back to it. Right. So it's just humans, we're continuing to hire more. We were on interviews this morning. We're a team of 30 now, and we're just constantly growing there. So it's just humans. You start working on something, you have a small little enhancement fix or whatever. So that's just what we're facing right now.
Humans is the problem. You should start hiring robots. I hear it's the next new trend, so that might help. But
I mean, we're trying to build the robots with all the AI and stuff that we're doing, right?
But I guess my question would just be, is there an ETA on that? Because I did notice, like, if you go to the ideas board, which is where people go and they vote things up, there were like 4, 5, 6, 7. I made a list of them that were, and then if you put it together, it's like it's like the number one requested thing.
Yeah, so the idea board, it works great when it works, but right now it kind of got a little crazy because people started creating multiple versions of it and stuff like that. So what we're actually going to do probably in the next couple of weeks, part of this help desk migration is potentially move it over to Freshdesk as well. So it's a little bit more self-contained. We could actually keep updates. So if a ticket comes in, someone has a problem, we can reference it. We can start polling it. Development can put their updates to it. So it's not you guys asking on Q&A calls and we're going off the top of our head and like, when did we have this last conversation to figure it out? It's fully documented and public on where we're at with it.
So thank you for the explanation. Just to kind of pin you down on that a little bit, is there an ETA on folders or organization, or is that just kind of still somewhere in the ether that will be gotten to, or is there some kind of ETA on that?
I don't have the date off the top of my head. I do know that it's been worked on. I know that I've seen some stuff come through on it. I just don't have a true timeline on when we're releasing it.
All right, cool. All right, thanks, Robin. I appreciate everything.
Cool. Any other questions? I know there's a lot of people that's posting in the chat. Haven't read any of it.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Is that Jesse?
Yeah.
Hey, Jesse.
How you doing?
Doing well. How about you?
I'm actually sick, but yeah.
Well, you're gonna get better.
But a question that I had, I know this is not like a software that's niche specific, but I know Sean came into a real estate group of ours, like for marketers, that he was talking about having websites that integrate with HighLevel. And I was just wondering if you have any idea if you know anything about IDX websites, and if that.
Yeah, the real estate integration. Yep.
Yeah.
So what we are doing, so as you guys know, we have the funnel builder. We have a small team working on that. It's actually only 2 main developers and, a couple of junior developers helping them on that front. They've been working on the funnel builder. Once we get to a certain point that we feel like the funnel builder, has evolved and we're not running into, different issues and stuff, we're basically going to use that funnel builder engine and roll it out to a couple of other products. One is replacing the newsletter email feature, as well as being able to have just more website functionality, which is basically like menus, just different, those sort of things. And then we'll just have different templates. I don't think that we're going to go down the path of IDX, at least not in the near future. It's going to be more or less of like similar to a Wix or something like that, where it's more turnkey, kind of prepackaged websites.
Okay, yeah. I just wanted to make sure, what I should be doing as far as that, because there are some CRMs that people kind of will say, oh, well, this one has IDX, but if I can offer it in some way, even if it has to be outside of HighLevel, I just want to figure it out.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Cool.
Hey, Robin, what's up, brother? Happy new decade. Appreciate everything you're doing. Making a lot of money for me. I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you. No need to pile on to what everybody else said, but like a universal search thing, right? Like got a bunch of, sub accounts, some random client calls like, hey, what's up with Johnny Blow? And I'm like, let me search and find out. And then I basically call my project manager and I'm like, you know who Johnny Blow is? And then he calls his VA and da-da-da-da. Is there like a way to do a universal search across all sub accounts? Should I make that an idea?
I would say it's more or less on the idea. It's not, it's something that we've spoken about. Right now, the challenge, of course, is kind of the performance stuff, which also goes down to Elasticsearch, which is the ability to search across all of that sub account based on keywords. And we've done a couple of cool things there. Like you can just start typing names in it or phone numbers or just a note and it starts picking up some of that data, but we're expanding that. But, part of it is the retrieval rates, which is going back to, the IO, the performance issues. I would say once we kind of get through that, we're going to take a step back, probably the second half of the year, and kind of look at what we're doing as supporting the agency as a whole and not at a sub account level. And then from there, that's probably where we'll start adding in those features and stuff.
Cool. And this is just a non-techie kind of question, but is this a speed related issue? Like when I go into contacts, the UI populates and then 3 to 20 seconds later, the data populates inside of the UI.
That's what's going on. It's trying to pull that data, right? And you have to remember when you're pulling a contact, it's not just as easy as pulling a contact. We have to pull up all the conversations, all the appointments, all the notes, all the tasks, all the little fields. So it's a lot of transactions that's happening at once, and it should be instantaneous, and we want it to be instantaneous. Just right now, Google hasn't fixed their issue.
Because it's weird. Like I'll have clients call me and say, hey, the only thing I can see is the chat widget on the bottom right. And I'm like, well, that's not even part of GHL, but you know what I mean? You could chat with us. We'll let you know everything's going to be fixed soon.
Yeah, and what we've done is we've cached a lot of the frame and stuff, which is what your client is seeing. They're seeing the cached version of the site. Just that live data is where we're improving.
For now, like, should I just let them know, like, hey, clear your cookies every Friday before you go off for the weekend, and then like,
No, no, no. It should be seamless, and that's our intent. That's what we want to happen.
Cool, man. But other than that, man, love you guys. Appreciate everything you do, man. It's
Cool.
awesome.
Thank you.
And folders, please, folders. You know what I mean? That'd be awesome. Cool. That's it for me, man.
Cool.
And
Robin,
dude,
can
you
I
have a
ask one more
stand-up
question?
desk or something? How you standing for? It's been like an hour or something. Like I didn't see you like stretch your legs or nothing. You just standing there.
And just fielding questions.
Hustler. All right. I'm muting myself. Thank you.
Can I jump in again, Robin?
Sure. What's going on?
So maybe a strategy question, maybe a feature question. We have like contacts, and then and for the contacts types, we have leads or customers. I have a lot of clients that are also communicating with their team or like having messages with their team or notifications and stuff. I know we're doing smart lists, but what is the strategy for like, because right now, like when I create a new account, I create a login and then I create a contact for, you know, the people that have access, like the employee, but they're not in the system to be able to like talk with them through the platform or like when they get updates and stuff, unless they're a contact. And then they're either lead or customer, and there's not like an employee option.
Yeah. So what you're looking for is the ability to have different types of contacts. Right?
Basically, just the employee contact is the only type that's missing.
Got it. Yeah. And so it's going to be best with the smart list because that UI, that interface is going to take over the contacts page. And so it's perfect time. So when you see that beta launch, definitely join that and be involved in that and help, evolve that product for us.
Right. Because what would be awesome is like if I create a new employee, it's automatically in there as a contact that, because I'm probably, if it's an employee, I'm going to set up triggers, notifications, what have you. So
yeah, definitely join. Like I said, join that beta and help evolve that product because your ideas will help make it a lot more solid of a product.
Be glad to. Thanks.
Cool. On that note with SmartList, one of the things that we are doing is the import capability. Is initially when we started, it was upload the list and it's using your computer's processing to import the data, which is why it's at 50 at a time. And sometimes if you're importing a 20,000 person list, it might take hours. It is dependent on your computing processing power. With SmartList, we are actually going to take that list and upload it to our server, and our server is going to start doing the processing. We've been doing tests on it. We can do like a 10,000 person list in under a minute. So you'll start seeing some huge gains with that new SmartList.
Hey, I have a question. Are you guys gonna have any reports in the future or reports section on like running campaigns and stuff like that?
Yeah, so the first area that we're rolling out reports for is the call tracking. And then we're gonna add email stats on top of that. And then we're gonna go back into more of the campaign specific stats as well. So it's coming, but the first thing is the call tracking, and then emails will be followed right after that. And then we'll just continue layering on from that team.
Is that going to be in this version, or is it going to be in the new after the beta release?
It'll be after the beta release. We need to get the first part of it because those same fundamental UI, the way that things look, it's going to be replicated based off that main beta.
Okay. And just another question: is it possible to get into the beta or no?
For call tracking, yeah, you can. Right now, if you go into our Slack channel, just join the call tracking channel and just say, hey, I want to jump in and check it out. But my only recommendation, and this is what I want to harp on, is please don't join a beta just for the sake of joining it. Please join it and actually test it out and give valuable feedback. That's the only way that we're going to get it rolled out, get your features created, and get it out faster to everyone. So if you're going to join, please.
Oh, don't worry. I'll talk trash. You're good on that.
Cool. All right, guys. Probably have time for 1 to 2 more questions.
Hey, Robin. Oh, go ahead. Whoever was next.
Oh, Robin, I was just asking if y'all were gonna do like a voicemail, like whenever they call in, kind of like CallRail has, because I could like transmit it basically whenever they call, it would go to the voicemail. That way, if I do like a big voice drop or something, they go to the voicemail and then I'm able to call back.
Don't have an answer. I've never heard that. But then again, I'm not really part of the whole call tracking functionality and stuff. If you're not a part of the beta, join that and kind of mention it there. And they'll probably, some of the team will probably get on a call with you and see what you're looking for or what that feature is and see what it would take to build it out and where it would be on their pipeline.
Okay, cool. I'll mention it in the Slack channel.
Cool.
And in the meantime, I would Google Twimlets. Twimlets are like little apps that you can build within your Twilio account. And you can build a Twimlet for a voicemail where like a robot will read whatever message you want. And it's really easy. I mean, I don't code and I built one. So check that out.
Okay, cool.
Hey, Robin, Brett with Empower Funnels. How's it going?
Doing well. How are you doing, Brett?
Good. I had a quick question here. It's something I'd brought up in the Slack chain, and we kind of did a run around for the holiday season, but something we came across in the holiday season. Basically, what we were finding, we have a number of accounts, obviously under our agency, and a number of campaigns per account. We were trying to look for an easy way to be able to pause the campaigns at the point of within their progress for the holiday season for a certain date span or time span. And what we ran into is that we were having to go into each individual campaign and enter them into draft mode across 50 plus accounts. I'm wondering if there's a feature. I don't need an ETA, not all about that. I just wondering if features in the works for adding some sort of function that allows us to pause campaigns at an agency-wide level and or in the same right, if you had, say, a client that is offboarded, a way to disable those accounts to where I'm not having to go in and change passwords or making it easier from an agency level to pause or disable accounts.
Yeah, so right now we don't have anything in the plans at an agency level because there's a lot of subjective stuff that's in there. So,
Right.
A couple of scenarios could be like your client's going on vacation in the summer. Well, maybe they want the appointment reminders to stay on, but not the campaigns. Like it's
Right,
very
okay.
hard to create that logic at an agency level. To the point about pausing campaigns and stuff, when you put something in draft, we do have it paused at the last stage that they were at, and once you activate it, it does come back on. So we do have that right now.
Okay, yeah, and I noticed that feature, and that was very helpful because then I wasn't so worried about somebody picking up at voicemail number 4 or whatever it might be. It was more of a case of kind of, for instance, if we had client A was going on, like you said, going on vacation, could you pause that particular account? I don't mind going account by account, but I wouldn't necessarily need it from an agency level to where shutting down all of them at once. I could go account by account, but each of my accounts have 4 to 5 campaigns inside of them, and that's going one by one in 50 different accounts. So
got it. Yeah, unfortunately, I mean it's very subjective, right? Like there's no way for us to create some logic behind it.
Okay.
If you have an idea, we'd love to hear it.
Yeah.
But just me thinking about it, our other half is the agency, and so it's like, well, how would we pull it off for our clients? And I don't know.
Exactly.
Now, as far as offboarding clients and removing users, you can delete accounts, but I would recommend creating an SOP behind it. One of the things that we do as a company is when you delete something, it puts a flag in our system. So it will essentially hide it in your dashboard or in your interface.
Okay.
And we can always enable it. And the reason that we do that is because you'd be amazed. I'm sure Ian knows. We get a lot of requests of, hey, can you recover a campaign? Can you recover a user? Can you recover something? Which is why we have it built that way. So if you're looking for ways to, remove users and stuff like that, I would recommend creating an SOP of some sort so that you can standardize that process.
Awesome.
On a specific agency.
That's not something I had thought of yet. So I appreciate that. We were kind of looking for a standardized process of offboarding. So that will definitely be beneficial. Thank you.
No problem. All right, guys. I'm tapped out. I'm sorry. Here's the last question.
Another hour.
Another hour. Ross, you got something?
It's kind of a technical question. If you guys can answer it real quick.
I can try.
I'm having a lot of issues with the call systems. So I'll just show you. This is just like a demo count. So we've got the tracking number, right? And we've set this. Now, I don't know if this is an idea or if this is anything in the future where you can just hard toggle so that no matter who this Twilio number is assigned to, no matter what happens, that this overrides everything.
Yeah, so right now the override this is kind of the fallback, right? Like you have users,
yeah,
and you can assign a number to a user.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you also have the company.
So
we
go
probably
ahead.
need to figure out some sort of Chase, this is probably something we need to document and create a video on like what's the hierarchy of those phone numbers.
There is a video that I believe Ian recorded on it a while ago. But I'm hitting some weird snags. So for example, kind of just a dumb way that I wrote the snapshot, instead of using a custom value where you can put the tracking number, I used the company phone number. So I've been having to drop the company phone number here. So now I know that it does default to that as one of the options. But what I have is we've got these users. I don't know if you recall, Robin, you're showing when we create those manual actions, we can assign it to like a dummy user so that we can then filter those manual actions, right? So we can kind of sort the conversation types for the phone calls. So I don't have a number, like I haven't assigned the Twilio number to anyone in here, right? But when a user goes through a test campaign that I made, it assigns, call test, it assigns this user to that contact, right? Now, when the contact calls the number, it's supposed to then now default to here. And when I leave it blank, it is now defaulting back
to the
here,
fallback.
Correct?
Yep.
Okay. I have that set up for a lot of client, like I have that set up with a lot of like client accounts, and they're getting these weird phone loops. And I was on support with Kate, and she's saying that, or I was messaging support, and they were saying that it's because there's no phone number here, it's not going to ring anywhere. But that's incorrect, right? It should default back to this.
Yes, or the company one, and I can't off the top of my head figure out.
Okay.
I don't remember which is the hierarchy on that.
Okay, so yeah.
Chase, can you jot that down and create a video on that?
This is for what?
Yeah, noted.
Oh, Ian actually knows. I didn't realize he was doing it.
Yeah.
I missed the beginning. I was typing.
Yeah, it's all good. I watched your hierarchy video earlier, and I know it's like, I'm just wondering what, like, okay, so when we have a phone number assigned to a campaign that has a manual action, the contacts going through that now get assigned to that user, right? Now
so you have a user assigned to a campaign, and the leads coming into that campaign will get assigned to that user.
Exactly. Yeah. The purpose of that is that when we go into manual actions, we can set the toggle, so we can choose. It's just a dummy user that we create to basically filter the conversations, because we've got like a bunch of different calls that or conversations, right? So now, because that user or the contact is assigned to this user, when they call back that tracking number, the hierarchy is now to default to that user's phone number, right?
You got
when
it.
It's blank, do you know, is it going to default to the company number, or should it default back to this or to the phone number?
Yeah, that's an interesting scenario, because I've never seen a user with the number not like, kind of like, what's the point in using that?
It's Robin's fault, basically.
So yeah, if there's no number assigned to the user, then yeah, it should default to this.
Okay.
It should default to this over the company number.
Yeah. Okay. And another thing, I asked Robin before, I don't know if there's any idea or any other people who have mentioned this, possibly just having like a hard toggle where you lock this forwarding number, where no matter what, like no matter where this number is showed or assigned or displayed, like this overrides everything, so that this is the core setting, and you can just kind of have like an override toggle or something.
Yeah. So I mean,
I don't know.
It overrides everything so long that there isn't users. So you're saying you want to use users, yet you still want this to override the user numbers, right?
Just in case someone configures it incorrectly, like I kind of did.
So for
like a failsafe.
For UX purposes, that can go on the long list of things that we need to update to make our UX much better. And we talk about this internally literally every Friday, about how next year we're having this huge push on just making our platform more user-friendly. I know that you're obviously an advanced user. You've been using us probably since before I started working here. So yeah, like things like this are going to slowly get better as well. Like I totally hear you. I know where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and-
No, I was just curious about that because we're getting. I'll try and go pull more accounts, user accounts where I'm seeing these errors. I'm basically seeing some weird stuff with these like weird little call loops. Like that person. I saw what this one was though, but there's people getting these call loops where I'm looking at the phone calls and it's like it's having a lot of the same attempts and it's hitting the loop where the tracking number is trying to dial the tracking number. And so that's what I'm just trying to isolate to understand the full hierarchy of everything to make sure that I can go through all of these accounts and fix it if it's broken or whatever. So
Understood.
Yeah. But no, that's it. Okay, guys. Thank you.
Ross, because you already have all that built out, can you run a
Yeah.
test and just confirm that it defaults back to the Twilio settings and not the...
Yeah, I did. I built that demo account and I ran a test. I added myself, texted myself, and called myself back, and it went to the correct number. So I just need to. It's just I kind of built this snapshot for a shit ton of clients when I didn't fully understand how everything was built. So it's kind of just identifying some little tweaks here and there that I got to make to the account. So that's
and the big thing is like the users, they just go in there, like the customers.
They assign the Twilio numbers and break everything.
Like they do all this stuff that breaks what we built, and we have no idea when that's happening. So like that's why it's important for us to be able to just lock certain settings from them messing stuff up.
Yeah. That's why like that override button would be nice.
Yeah.
So it's like they go and try and
They
assign
screw everything up.
number.
Like, we'll have something working, and all of a sudden, they turn something to draft, and that's easy enough. But like the phone number thing happens all the time. Like, why isn't it ringing? Well, you assigned this to a user, and it fucked everything else up. So that's basically what's been happening.
Yeah, because like for an example, and this is one of the scenarios where we've had them create like an appointment setter, and they'll assign that Twilio number to that appointment setter, assuming that that's going to toggle their call ID. So that then when they're calling out through the system, because there's that Twilio numbers assigned, they're thinking that that's going to be the caller ID. And then they've got a different phone number, so then it's not ringing to the right 40 number that was pre-configured, and it's just making a lot of issues when the clients get in there and mess with stuff. That's it.
Cool. Yeah, this might be one of those examples where we'll talk with the team and maybe figure out a way to move that whole thing into the agency level, like we did with the Mailgun and the core Twilio keys. I mean, we have those conversations all the time, and so I'll try to bring that up on Friday.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't know. It's just ranting now more than anything, but other than that, you guys' support is fantastic as always. So
I don't think it needs to get moved to the agency level. It's just maybe have an agency lock feature or something. And I hate to say the word features. Everyone's complaining about no more features. But just some place where we can be like, hey, all right, agency, like just secure it so that the clients can't mess it up. I'd rather it be on their side because we also have users that aren't clients that we need them to have their own control, right? So it's just kind of that balance, right? Like you can't please everybody, but we need to have some way to at least identify if something happens and troubleshoot it pretty quickly.
And so just so you guys know, we are part of the HIPAA compliances, we're kind of pushing into that, which goes into the bigger picture of why it was important for us to go down that path is it gives us the ability to do logging. So we'll be able to start displaying who did what, why, where a campaign gets stuck and all that. So you're not having to ask us, we'll be able to, have it more visual. That takes a little bit of time. We have that in our plan, but that's kind of where we're going.
Are those reporting features coming out where it'll show us the call logs, like when inbound calls are coming, if they're outbound? Because right now we have no idea if they're inbound or outbound unless we go to each individual conversation, and we only have like 25 call logs or whatever. Mm-hmm. Is that coming in that push that you're doing for the reporting?
The call tracking, that's going to be part of the call tracking beta.
Is that okay? So my question is, the beta going to mess up a lot of my stuff?
It shouldn't. I mean, what I would recommend is joining the beta and testing it out.
Yeah, but how does it test? Can it test?
Beta. It's on a different environment, and so it shouldn't affect anything that you guys are doing. You have to buy new set numbers. You have to, it's completely different.
Okay.
Environment.
So it doesn't jump into. Okay.
Good. Okay. So
it does work with the same contacts and accounts and sub-locations and stuff.
Right. Okay. Let's do that then, Ross. If it's not going to mess up, because that was the concern is I don't want it to break a million things and cause 100 clients calling us and saying, hey, well, everything's broken and all that stuff. So yeah, if it's in a separate environment with the same stuff we have built now, that's perfect. We can kind of test it out, what it looks like.
Cool. Hey guys, do have to drop off to another call, right? That's starting right now. So once again, we'll keep you guys updated with a lot of stuff, and I'll be posting a couple of videos as I get more information. Have a great Wednesday, and I will talk to you guys next week. Bye, everyone.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.